Let's talk about the Hunger Games.
Let's talk about killing children. Like,
for the audience members, I just want everyone to know that my husband is sitting right here. He's playing video games on our TV, and he's listening in real time to our podcast and giggling to himself.
this means everything to me. Hi,
Yeah.
Michael.
Did you hear that? He's nodding. He doesn't want to interrupt. All right, Hunger Games. So I'm going in published order, as we know. I am going book, movie so far. So,
Good.
and I'm listening to the books because I get through them so much faster. So, like, I'm already on Mockingjay. I started this after we released the episode last week. So, like, flying through them.
That's crazy.
Yes. Reading the first Hunger Games book was, out of everything I've done so far, the most familiar. Because I distinctly remember reading the first book. I remember most of what happens in the first book. There was like a few details like here and there that I was like, oh yeah, oh right, yeah. And then rewatching the movie did feel new again, but I know I've seen the movie. I don't know, that's like a weird concept for my brain to comprehend. But so far, through both the Hunger Games book and movie, Catching Fire book and movie, I'm like really shocked with how closely they stayed with the story in the movies.
Yes.
Like, it's pretty spot on.
Literally, the only thing that really upset me was taking out Madge in the original. Like, that upset me. Like, and there felt no need for it. Like, so that was, I think, the only thing that was like drastically changed that like genuinely upset me. There are some things coming up later on that I won't speak of yet because I don't want to like remind you of them before you get there. But we'll discuss after Mockingjay. But no, they do. And I feel like the Hunger Games is one of those series where it's like it's proof that when you put money and effort and time into like sticking as close as possible to the book, casting correctly, having a big budget, like putting so much into it, like things last and you get this dynasty that lasts forever. Like same thing with Harry Potter. Like when you put time into things and effort, they last. And I think they've done a great job of that. In continuation, you'll see it through to the new ones. Like,
yes. And I was going to say the same thing because as I was watching Catching Fire, I was like, there are very few book series, movie series that do this well. And Harry Potter, honestly, and the thing is too, Harry Potter doesn't even follow the books completely.
No.
At all. Like they follow the story pretty much, but like there are so many things in the book that don't have. They remove an entire character in the movies, Peeves, the poltergeist, who is like such a huge part of the series. But at the same time, you see where the direction's going. Like, especially since I'm like reading the books and then sitting down watching the movie, everything's fresh in my brain, so I can pick out exactly what was not in the book versus that. But I'm like, okay, but I see where you're going. Like, I see why you guys didn't include this and this. I don't know why they didn't include Madge, because it really wouldn't have taken up that much more time.
No, and I thought I like loved that in the other thing. Oh my God, you finished Catching Fire. I am really upset. Oh, you know what? No, that's Mockingjay.
The Catching Fire we're ended off and District 12 is gone and she's woken up, she's in the hovercraft, and so I just started listening to Mockingjay and like, you know, we're figuring out things as they're going. So I will say this is what I was gonna say earlier.
Okay.
Catching Fire, while I was listening to the book, it was like anytime something came up, I went, oh right. And then, but like I genuinely was picturing characters in my head in the first and second book, not as the actors in the movie. Like I was like, yeah, I actually, like, I don't know what it was. I mean, like maybe like PETA, like I was picturing as Josh Hutcherson, because I have just loved Josh Hutcherson for as long as I could freaking remember, ever since I saw Zathura when I was like 8. Like I've been in love with him. But everybody, like even Katniss, like same vibe as
Jennifer Lawrence,
But, like, I pictured Gale as, like, my own and not Liam Hemsworth, but that was just also, like, I don't think Liam Hemsworth gives off Gale at all,
No.
like, especially, again, listening to the books. But while I was reading Catching Fire, I was like, "Did I see this movie? I must have seen this movie," but I, like, could not in my brain visualize anything from the movie in my head while I was reading it, except for Beetee and not Madge,
Wyrus.
not Wyrus, the Phoenix old
Oh,
lady.
Annie?
No, the old lady. M
Oh, Mags.
Mags. So close, and I was like, "It's not Madge, Mags." I was like, "Why am I picturing Beetee as that one actor guy from Westworld?" I was like, "Then did I see the movie? Is he in that movie?" And I was like, "I'm not gonna spoil it for myself. I'm just gonna, when the movie comes around." And sure enough, there he was in the movie. And I was like, as Beetee. And I was like, what cell in my brain put that away? And yet I felt like I was watching that movie for the first time. But I must have watched it because I literally pictured Mags in my head while I was reading the book and Beetee in my head while I was reading the book, exactly as those two
You
actors.
definitely watched it.
I had to have watched it, and I'm convinced that I've seen at least the first part of Mockingjay. And but I could not tell you, except for the one big thing that happens in Mockingjay, what happens in that book. So, like, this is gonna be a journey for me, this last book.
So far, 2 books in, are you loving it?
I do. It is such a good story, and, like, again, like, I am also trying to look at this in, like, an analytical way, just the way, like, my school drilled it into my brain to read books. But I, like, was like, "This is, like, original." And it's, like, in its own way, and, like, there have been so many things that are similar to it and, like, all these different things, but, like, it is so good. The story is so good. The twists and turns are there. The characters are great. Like, I love PETA. And it's not just because of Josh Hutcherson. I just love
Oh,
PETA.
he's special. He's
He's
really, really special.
so special. And as I was reading the first book, I was listening to it on the bus last week when I went into the office. And again, spoilers at this point, people should probably know that.
Yeah.
But when
Also, if
Rue
you haven't watched The Hunger Games at this point,
right, like,
Yep.
let's pick up the pace. When Rue dies, which I
Yes.
knew was coming, again, like, that I distinctly remember, I'm sitting on the bus crying. All I'm doing is just looking out the window of the bus. Michael is sitting next to me because we took the bus in together, and I was sitting there, and there's just tears rolling down my face, and I'm just looking out the window, and I'm like, "I knew this was gonna happen." But Suzanne Collins does a really good job of making these books very digestible, but yet so moving.
Yes. That's actually like a big debate on TikTok BookTawk specifically that I see, where people are like, "Oh, it's like so hard to get into the Hunger Games because it's young adult," or people like look down on being like the Hunger Games being so profound because it's a young adult book and it's easy to digest. And it's like, hello, that's the whole point. They're kids. Like,
Yeah.
these are literal kids. And it's supposed to be like, yeah, like, this is messed up. Like, none of this is right. Like, let's revolt. Like, it's supposed to be easy to digest, understand. Like, you're supposed to just want to support them and like understand right and wrong. Like, that's the whole point. And like, that's why when people like theorize about the Hunger Games, it's so funny because like Suzanne Collins is the type of author, like, if she wants you to know, you will know. Like, there's no speculating. Like, obviously, she leaves some open-ended for speculation, but like,
Sure.
gave you the breadcrumbs. Like, you know what you need to know. Like,
Yes, exactly.
that's the whole point of them.
Yes, and I feel like going back to us talking about kind of comparing it to Harry Potter, and again, those are children's books.
Yes.
Let's put that into perspective for a second. But, like, when The Hunger Games was coming out and, like, the big boom of, like, that post-apocalyptic/dystopian young adult novel series was, like, the big thing, right? 'Cause Divergent came out around the same time, and Maze Runner, and I read all the Maze Runner books and watched all the movies, and I could say I distinctly remember they did not hit the same
No.
as it does the Hunger Games. I mean, like, people to this day still talk about the Hunger Games. Nobody talks about Maze Runner, even Divergent. Like, to be honest, I'm not really a Divergent fan. I never really enjoyed it.
I read all the books. I watched all the movies. I want to say it was probably, when did I read The Hunger Games? 2 summers ago? When, after I got through that and I watched all the movies, I was just like, I need more dystopian. And I tried watching Divergent and I shut it off. I was like, this doesn't even hit. Like,
I don't know. And I think it's also the romance, because the romance is there in the Hunger Games, but obviously not at all in the way, like, Divergent, I think, kind of pushes it. Like, it pushes that young adult limit there. That's, I think, why I was just like, this is too much.
Yeah.
And also, like, the casting in Divergent too, I thought was weird. Anyway, I could go on, but we're not talking about Divergent. We're talking about the Hunger Games.
Yes.
And, like, obviously, Katniss has her feelings. She has her feelings towards Peeta. She has her feelings towards Gale. But, like, that isn't her sole priority. Her sole priority is making sure her family's safe, making sure she's safe, and then, like, obviously catching fire. She's like, I need to keep Peeta safe. And that's also, like, a refreshing thing, right? To have a woman want to protect this pure ass man because he is so pure and would do anything for her. But, like, and, like, I feel like they know that too, like, the guys, like, they're like, we are not her main priority.
Yeah.
Neither one of them. And I think that is, like, and it's not forced. Like, it's not like Katniss is like, I don't need anybody. Blah, 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 blah. Like, she's like, no, I'm a 17-year-old girl. I'm gonna have a crush on 2 boys at the same time. It's gonna, like, you know, like, it's just gonna happen. But their relationships are so refreshing in the way that it's not forced. But at the same time, you're like, oh, who is she gonna pick? But that's not the main point. But at the same time, you know, we're thinking about it in the back of our brains.
You know, I love a very subtle romance subplot underneath a ton of badass world fighting actions. And I think that's why I love the Hunger Games so much. It's like, this is no spoilers. I told you Throne of Glass is also young adult. It's also why I love Throne. Like, that's just my type. Like, I like when obviously it adds something. Like, it gives you connections. Like, I like romance. I just don't like when it's the main part of the books in these. Like, obviously, if I'm reading a romance book, I know that's what I'm reading it for. But like, when I'm reading fantasy, like, I don't prefer, like, the romantasy. I enjoy it. I get in the mood for it. But, like, this is everything. There was something else that I wanted to ask you, and I had it in my brain and I forgot.
Well, we were talking about Divergent and the romance and Catching Fire and
talking about Suzanne and, like, her writing and, like, how the world feels so real. I'm so happy you're rereading the original trilogy. When you get to The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes and Sunrise on the Reaping, that is, like, I get the Facebook memories all the time. The Hunger Games was my entire personality. Like, I literally, my mom bought me, like, a Hunger Games People magazine, and I was like, this is the best day of my entire life.
I think I had that too.
Yes, it was Jennifer Lawrence on the cover with
yes.
It was like,
I had that.
Yes, and it had a bunch of posters and everything in it.
You just unlocked a memory in my brain.
Right? I was obsessed. I think it was like a whole collection of whatever. Nerd. But rereading them as adults, and then the prequels, and again, this is no spoilers, the prequels make the original series, like the original trilogy, hurt so much more. Like, nothing feels forced. It connects so many dots and, like, just provides so much context. And, like, the way it all, like, it's just, and then literally Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes changed my brain chemistry. Sunrise on the Reaping, I will never be the person that I was before reading it. Like,
so many people have said that to me at this point now. And that's why, like, now that I'm, like, back in the mix, like, I'm so excited to read these books, especially because, like, you know, going into Hunger Games and going into Catching Fire, you know, I had the thoughts in my brain, like, okay, I remember what happens. I remember who dies. I remember the series of events for the most part, you know, things along those lines. But like those 2 new books, they are going to be brand new to me, and I am just so excited to jump into it, especially because I am excited for Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes because I know it's going to make sense, but I'm really excited for Sunrise on the Reaping because I just really love Haymitch. It's like Haymitch is my guy.
Yeah.
I'm so worried what's gonna happen, especially because now too, while I was listening to Catching Fire, they talk about Haymitch's games, and you find out about the friend of Katniss's mom. That's like that I didn't remember, so I put that away in the back of my brain because I'm like, this is gonna be important later. I can tell. So you don't have to say anything. You don't have to confirm or deny, but I am so ready. But yeah, it's been a very fun journey so far, and it's happening it's back to back to back to back for me because they are so easy to digest and read and watch. I was like making dinner watching Catching Fire.
So if you saw it when I turn on my TV, it literally goes Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, Hunger Games, Catching Fire, Mockingjay Part 1, because they're just always on. Brian the other night was like, you can put on anything you want. I don't care. I said, perfect, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. He was like, as like are going to bed, like relaxing. And I was like, yup.
I am so wait, when does Sunrise on the Reaping movie come out? Not for a while?
Not this November, next November, November 2026.
Okay. Okay, that's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
They are already casting. We've already gotten some cast members. Well, obviously they're already casting. They have to film it and do the whole thing. But like they've started announcing it again. Chef's kiss, this production team.
Yeah.
Like everything that I could have visualized in the book so far. Spot on. Spot the fuck on. It's so good.
I am happy that I'm reading and then watching the movies to see those connections, because at the same time, while I'm watching the movies, I'm like, okay, I remember how I feel at this point in time while I was reading it. And I know for a fact if I didn't read it, I wouldn't feel the same based on the movies, because you don't get that same, which is like, I feel, that's just all books and movies. You could argue, but like there were so many things where like you hear, Katniss's monologues and like, her talking through things and the feelings that she's having about PETA and like all this different stuff. And I'm like, okay, like I can see Jennifer Lawrence doing her absolute best because she's an excellent actress in these movies. But like, if I didn't know from the book, I don't think I'd be feeling those things.
Please put that token away for the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Okay.
And as soon as you are done both the book and the movie, we are going to remove that token. And
okay,
I have so much to say.
Okay.
And I'm so eager.
Hopefully.
I was going to say, what's your plan? Like, are you going to, after Mockingjay, are you going to start reading?
So I don't have either of, well, actually, so my sister-in-law has Sunrise on the Reaping. I could physically read that, but I don't have Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes. I might just listen to it just to do that, but I feel like I would like to sit down and read Sunrise on the Reaping, like physically, but I'm like banging through these so fast because I'm listening to them, and I use do you know about this Hoopla app? It's basically like you connect your public library to it, and you just have.
I have a different
one. On the retreat, I think.
I have Libby.
Yes, I have Libby too. Hoopla though, like, is very. I think it maybe it just focuses on audiobooks. I'm not entirely sure, but like originally, I had to use one of my Audible credits to get the Hunger Games, and I was like, shit, I gotta pay for these, and then somebody. I think it was maybe my cousin or my cousin's wife. They were just like, use Hoopla. Now I've been able to listen to everything for free through my library. Awesome. Yes, which is why I'm also flying through it, because I'm like, oh, free. And so I think Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes will be on there too, and Sunrise on the Reaping, and I could just listen to them.
Honestly, Sunrise, I think if you listen to Sunrise on the Reaping, or listen to Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes and read Sunrise on the Reaping, you'll be totally fine. Because Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, I'm fairly confident it's like the biggest out of all of them. And the first chunk of it is slow. Like it's a lot of world building and a lot of history. And once it gets going, it goes. But I feel like for that one, listening to it, you'd be totally fine. But you definitely want to physically read Sunrise on the Reaping and have sticky notes and tissues.
Yes, I think everyone that I've talked to that has read Sunrise on the Reaping has sobbed. And I have been sobbing a lot recently through many things. I didn't cry during the Catching Fire. What?
I said, are you okay?
Oh, no. Yeah, I'm fine. Just emotional. Just a cancer. It's fine. Quick side note. Have you heard of the show The Pit?
Yes. I haven't watched it, but I heard of it.
Okay. Michael and I started watching it yesterday. We got about 4 or 5 episodes in. I've cried in every single episode so far. It is the most excellent medical drama I've ever watched in my entire life.
Oh my God. Okay. We need a show.
Please watch it.
Okay.
There's only like 15 episodes. And the way that this isn't a spoiler, the way that it's structured is the full season is one shift of these doctors and nurses. So episode 1 is from hours 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. And episode 2, so on and so forth.
Wow.
Which I didn't know. And we watched the first episode and it comes up at the bottom, hour 1. And I was like, so you basically like walk through the hospital with these doctors and nurses and like basically go through it. The entire season is one day. It's crazy.
I like that a lot.
It is so good. And I will say it's very authentic. So it gets very emotional, and they also don't really hold back in terms of, it's HBO. They don't really hold back in terms of visuals.
Okay.
So if you're squeamish, I don't know.
I am, but I hide.
But like, there's been a few times where I'm usually okay with it, but there were definitely a few times where I was like, ugh. Michael had to turn away a couple times too. Like it's intense.
Okay.
But it's so good.
Okay. All right. Noted. Highly noted.
Anyway, cried a lot watching The Pit. Cried reading Hunger Games. Cried watching the Hunger Games. So much more than reading it. Oh my God. I was a mess.
Yeah.
Cried during Catching Fire. Didn't cry during the movie. But also I was like doing other things while I was watching the movie. It's like cooking dinner. So maybe I might have been different.
Catching Fire, I feel like the only part that makes me emotional is the reaping.
Yes.
And like the announcement of the 75th annual, or that was 75th. The third quarter quell.
Yes. No, that was the time where I got emotional during the book, was when, like, you know, Katniss is talking about how freaked out she was and how her family was reacting and everything. And I was like, holy shit. The second that the Hunger Games movie started, I was crying.
Yep.
It's like the girl who plays Prim, so good at being devastated.
Yes.
So good at being devastated. And I know Mockingjay is going to ruin me just based off of the one thing that I remember. But so we'll see what happens, but I am very happy to be on this journey. I'm happy I get to talk to somebody about it as enthusiastic as you, Jordyn, because there's no one else that I'd rather talk about a series that I read in high school with.
We could literally do an hour on the Hunger Games every week, and I would never, ever get tired of it.